everyone, it's Tigra. Welcome to Tigra and Tarot Collective Messages. Today I won't be bringing you a reading, but from time to time I'll bring you some great subject topics that I would like to entertain you with and also inspire you with. And this is a subject on how you can obtain your tarot and oracle decks, the pros and cons of where and how you purchase your decks, or even if you're gifted decks, how that affects, you know, how you relate to the deck and the course of it, how it affects the bottom line. So let's talk about first getting your tarot and oracle deck. First, you have to remember there's a difference between the two. A tarot deck is quite different than an oracle deck. A tarot deck consists of 78 cards and is usually based on the Rider-Waite system, whereas your oracle deck can be any amount of cards, and they're more keyword inspired, and the graphics can vary. They are theme oriented, and they really go to the stretch of the imagination of the person who designs them. Oracle decks are usually used to clarify or to explain or to elaborate further on a tarot card. But now anything can really go based upon you as a reader or you as a spiritualist, how you want to use your cards. You can clarify a tarot deck with a tarot deck, or you can clarify a tarot deck with an oracle deck. You can also clarify an oracle deck with an oracle deck, or oracle deck with a tarot. Some of us just prefer to use a tarot and really don't like the energies, or feel that the oracle deck doesn't really match up to the standards of the tarot. And then there's some of us that just prefer oracle decks because they are friendly and they're softer, and there's so much variations of them that can apply to many of our subjects in readings. So you have the two. Whatever the case may be, whichever one you're guided to or not guided to, purchasing them and accessing them is about the same. Now, if you've been buying decks or you have a great collection like I have over the course of the years, you know many years ago, compared to now in 2022, you couldn't get that many decks, and they were very limited, and there was only a handful of places that you can access them, other than maybe buying them secondhand from someone used. But now in 2022 and here on, there's many places that you can access decks, and not only are they commercially sold now, you have a lot of indie decks, a lot of private content creators and designers and spiritualists themselves creating their own decks. So it's a wide market. It's a very expensive market now, also compared to years ago, where a deck might cost you anywhere from $10 to $15. Now you can pay as low as $15 to as high as over $100 for a deck. And the more unique the deck is, and if the deck is a collection or collective deck, a limited series, of course you will pay more. And the indie decks, you will always pay a little bit more, because the indie decks are usually made by small mom and pop shops or individuals who really can't cover the expense, to build bigger platform, or to mass market them like a commercial place like Hay House or what have you would be able to. But again, it's a personal choice, because you might pay more and get more for your money because your deck is unique, even though you might not get as many cards as a tarot. So again, it's a personal choice. And in spirituality and in the mystical realm, things really come at the bottom of the day to our own spiritual choice and growth. What you might desire for your journey will differ from what I desire for mine. So we have the freedom and choice in our intuitive gift to guide us to what we feel is best for our collection and for our personal and professional use. So now that we know the difference between the two decks and we know what we can do with them, you're interested in getting maybe your first deck, or you want to give someone a deck. So let's start with the person who has no deck, right? But you've done your research. Maybe you've come to YouTube, which is a great place to start, because there are so many readers on YouTube, because there are a lot of deck reviews, which I also do on my other channel, and I will do on this channel if I buy any more decks. Gives you a quick sample and flip through of the decks with explanations of the cards. So you, in a way, get to virtually sample the deck. And if you have an interest in the deck, you're going to get within that deck review the name of the deck, how many cards in the deck, what the stock supply of the card feels like, the meaning behind the deck, and also where you can get the deck. Most deck reviews or flip throughs on YouTube, the person doing the deck review will list the link for you, especially if they're the ones that created the deck. If there's no link, they will at least guide you to where you can purchase it. If it's a deck that is still like in Kickstarter where they're waiting funding, then that's a different story, because then you have to fund it and wait until it gets produced, and then you can wait some time. But let's not jump ahead. So you can use YouTube as a source to see what type of decks are out there. And you can go as far back as, last month to a few months to a few years ago on deck reviews, because most decks are still available. But then you do have some decks that are out of stock and they're no longer available for purchase. Those you'll probably see when you see reviews, or rather you'll see declutters from other tarot readers or spiritualists when they're like shuffling up their decks, or they're cleaning through their decks. We're going through our decks to purge the ones that we don't really use that often, or we've outgrown, or we just feel we don't have any connection to anymore. That's where you might come across some oldie but goodies that are no longer available in the store. But you've got to be real quick, because those type of out of print decks, if they're being sold by someone on YouTube, they go quickly. Or you can go to maybe eBay or some other type of private source to find out if an out of print deck that you're interested in is still available. But when it comes to new decks, like I said, YouTube is a great place to get your information from. Visit your local metaphysical stores, your bookstores. Hey, talk to the people that you get your readings from. If you're interested in a particular deck, or if you see a deck that they use in their videos that you like, ask them. Most people will tell you, and then some of us are very private about what we use, and you'll have to figure it out on your own. But once you decide that you're ready to buy your decks or look into getting decks, you do have a few options. Like I said, more so than years ago. So let's start with some of the options and the pros and cons within those options of purchasing your decks. Well, you can go, actually there are some department stores that sell decks, but you would not see them in the physical store. Repeat, there are some department stores that sell tarot and oracle decks or metaphysical items and tools, but you will not see them physically in their store. You will have to go to their online shop. And one of those stores that I find some very affordable decks, and a lot of them I've gotten through by watching videos on YouTube, or just coming across doing a search, because you can search within Walmart's search section under tarot and metaphysical. If you know the deck's name, or just put in tarot decks or oracle decks, and then whatever they have should populate. So Walmart actually has tarot decks or oracle decks. Very affordable. You can avoid the shipping and handling. That's the only downside. Sometimes you have to buy a certain amount. But otherwise than that, I find that the decks come quite fast. They're usually in great condition, brand new, no problem. So check out Walmart online. And another great thing about buying your decks from Walmart, I'm assuming I've never returned a deck to Walmart, but Walmart does have a return policy for most of their items. So I don't think it would be a problem if you returned the deck, as long as it wasn't used, even if it was open, as long as you have the receipt. But again, don't quote me, because I've never returned anything as far as a deck to Walmart. You also have the option to get your deck at garage sales. Yes, you have a lot of people, like I said, as they get older, or there's estate sales, maybe someone, his family member used to read and now they're no longer here, and they're selling their stuff. Go to garage sales. You'll be surprised what you'll find. If you don't find tarot decks or oracle cards, you might come definitely across some great tarot books. So go to garage sales. The best thing about those, again, you could probably haggle the price, whereas you can't do that with a department store or creator with a brand new deck. Most of them are in great conditions, and you're probably going to get one that's, if it's not in the box, it's already in a satchel, and probably not that much used. So try garage sales. It might be a hit and miss though. Again, it depends on where you live, and if people in that area are into reading. Also, you can go to Etsy. A lot of people, like myself, we have shops on Etsy's. I've always had a shop on Etsy because I've been a craftsman. But now everyone's kind of jumped on the bandwagon and went on Etsy to sell their decks. So you can get a lot of decks on Etsy. Again, a lot of the decks on Etsy, not only do you see the decks, but the creator can also put a little video for you, which is the equivalent of a deck review or flip through. You can talk and correspond and message the creator if you have any questions about the deck. They give you information about the deck. But mind you, you're not going to be able to return a deck on Etsy. These are handmade created decks. Unless there's some damage to the deck, once you buy the deck, it's yours. If you're missing anything, or maybe there's one card damage, reach out to the seller and I'm quite sure they'll take care of you. And also on Etsy, you can do a review on someone on their deck. So not only are you giving them feedback, but you're letting other future buyers know what your experience was with the deck and how the process of your purchase went. You can also go now to card making playing sites where there are a few. I'm not promoting anyone here, so I'm not going to state their name, but many of us know this, like 1 to 3 card making sites that you can Google, that people actually make their decks and sell their decks from that site, or they make their decks at that site and then you buy it from them directly. But there are decks that are on these sites, and again, you can go to these sites and search. There's hundreds of them, so be prepared. Most prices are very affordable on these sites. They average, I want to say, about anywhere from $29 on up, but you do have the shipping and handling. And on the one particular site that I use, that's the only drawback. I don't like ordering from them unless I'm ordering a lot of decks, because the shipping and handling to me sometimes is almost half the price, if not the price of a deck. But you do get the cards right away. But when you get the decks from these card making sites, they usually don't come boxed unless the seller, promoted their deck like that. Most of them will just come in the clear cellophane paper and bounded, and that's it. 9 times out of 10 they will not come with any guidebook. So just be aware of your options and what it is that you're looking for, because if you're someone that's more old school, you want the box, you want the guidebook, then buying from a card making playing site is not going to be your cup of tea, because you're not going to get all of that, okay? Whereas you would get that with Walmart, and you'll definitely get it with Etsy. Garage sales, not so much, because a garage sale, you might have someone that has the deck, but they don't have the book, or they have the book and they don't have the deck. So it's, kind of funny there, not for sure. So that's one other option you have. Then you can go to your actual physical bookstores like Barnes and Noble, for example. Usually have a good selection. Not only do they have cards, but they also have books. So you get the best of both worlds. You can sit down and kind of thumb through the books, and you can also look at the cards. And then while you're in the store and you're looking at the deck in your hand, you can Google it on your phone and get some more information on it to see, again, if it's something that you like. I don't know Barnes and Nobles or any of the bookstores' return policies, so I'm not sure if you can return anything that you do not like. So please, when you buy these cards in these physical stores, find out their return policies, okay? You also have options as Kickstarter. Now, I never knew what Kickstarter was until I started, buying decks more so a few years ago. And Kickstarter is basically like a program, I call it like a financial aid program, where creators, they have the idea and concept of a deck, but they need the funding, because, they're not, like I said, like a big hay house. So they will ask people to donate and contribute, and they usually set goals of what it is that they need before they can actually start printing the decks. I've heard a lot of bad things about the Kickstarter, and a lot of people who are now not ever going to use Kickstarter. I've never used it because I really, when I want a deck, I want it. I don't want to wait. And a lot of the cons about Kickstarter I've heard and read on videos is that people donate money and they wait anywhere from months to a year to get a deck. And in some cases, some people have reported that they actually ended up paying a little bit more for their deck through Kickstarter than when the deck actually came out afterwards. So not only are some people feeling that they're paying more, but they're waiting a very, very long time for the deck. So I'm not a Kickstarter advocate. If you do come across a deck and it's through Kickstarter, do your homework. That's all I'm saying. Then you can also have the option of getting it directly from the designer or content creator. Again, either through YouTube or maybe you went to their personal website. Usually when you're dealing direct with the person who designed or created the deck, you're going to get the deck firsthand. They're going to be honest with you and tell you, listen, I'm out of print right now, or, you can be like on a little wait list, but most of them will either tell you you're going to be on a wait list and I'll let you know when the deck comes in. And others will say, okay, yep, I have the deck, and you send them the money. But I've had a few instances where I still waited a few weeks. I feel if you have the deck on your site and you're advertising it, if I send you the payment, I should get it within 2 weeks. It shouldn't be months down the road. So be very clear. I would always say when purchasing your decks from, private creators, check with them first. Ask them, do you physically have this deck now? Is it ready to ship? And if not, when will it be? Because you will be disappointed if you're needing this deck for your personal use or particular reading and you don't get it in time. But it's great to get it from the content creator, especially, like I said, if it is a limited edition, because they'll sign it for you. I find that when I do get decks, directly from content creators, they'll send you little other cha-chas and stuff, and it just feels real personal when you get it from them. And the same thing with Etsy. I like Etsy because the Etsy indie creators send you little mementos and other little things. They'll give you discount codes for future purchases. So I really like that feature. Then you have Amazon. Yes, Amazon, like how we go to Amazon for everything else, especially if you've been home for these past 2 years, a lot. I'm sure you spent a lot of money on Amazon and probably on cards. So Amazon has both your tarot decks, your tarot cards, your tools, as well as the books. Amazon pricing is very affordable, as you know. And what I love, love, love about Amazon, great return policy. I have never ordered a deck or returned it to Amazon, just like I've never returned one to Walmart. I just feel a deck isn't something that you're going to buy and return. But if it was damaged, I'm quite sure, as with everything else with Amazon, you should be able to return it and get another one. But don't sleep on Amazon. And a lot of the YouTube reviews that you see, or when people speak about their decks and their collection, they will provide you links to get it directly at Amazon. So I love that us YouTubers put the links for you and you're able to go and get it. And most times, anytime I wanted anything from Amazon that, I was directed to get, they had it, and I got it within the 2-day turnaround if you're a Prime member. Another way, listen, trade and barter. If you have a channel, if you're a member of a channel, or if you're part of a group, or you have friends that also read or know readers, find out. A lot of people, like I said, like to clean out their decks, purge their decks, trade their decks. Someone might be willing to trade or barter a deck for something else, or trade you one of their decks for one of your decks. So that's another great way to exchange and get cards. You can also go on eBay. Now, I used to go on eBay way, way before Amazon. That was really one of my main go-to places years ago, other than stores. But over the course of the years, which I have to really, really stress to you, because this does happen a lot, and even on Amazon as well, be careful. I don't know so much Etsy. I think Etsy too, because I bought a second one of my romance decks, and it was not the original deck, because it's in a small square box. Be careful of those other type of online stores. I'm not going to say what geographic, but you know which ones I'm talking about, that sell you the cards really cheap. They are duplicates, they are rip-offs, they are not the originals, okay? So they're not going to come in the original packaging. You're not going to get the book. They're just going to be in plain, like, Xerox copy versions. So that was why I stopped buying on eBay, because I felt throughout the years you got fake rip-off decks. They weren't the originals. So be careful of that. If you're in a tight budget and that's all you can afford and you're fine with that, then that's up to you. But I just have to tell you, be careful of what you're buying on eBay, Etsy, and Amazon sometimes, because you can get a deck that is not the original one made from the design or manufactured or produced from them. Then you can also go to YouTube again to the actual readers like myself. Sometimes I post decks. As a matter of fact, I posted some decks on my Sagittarius channel that I'm selling that I no longer jive with or have never used. So I've given you a lot of options on how you can go out and get your own personal decks. I would love to hear your comments below on how you've gotten some in the past, or how many you have, or how many you plan to have and get this year. And let's your pros and cons so that we can all share and grow in this community. And let's support each other as far as the deck creating, and let's make the pricing fair so that everyone can get a deck. And I get it. A lot of people put a lot of work into their decks, but it's kind of a fine line, because you do want to get compensated for what you created, but you can't make the price too high if people can't afford to get it. So hopefully there'll be a happy medium, or you just wait till when that deck you want goes on sale, maybe, or again, you get it used. And don't knock used decks. I know a lot of people have their little, superstitions about it. There's nothing wrong with getting a used deck, because all you have to do is cleanse it and pray upon it and make it your own, and you'll be fine. So I hope this information was informative. And again, I would love to hear your comments. Come on back, share, like, and subscribe, and have a great one. Bye.